What's up y'all, I'm Hack, and Dogmeat became basically an icon in the Fallout series. I mean, having the company of a dog in your chaotic adventure through the wastelands, at least for me, is an extremely needed feature. And I always thought that it's kinda odd to have such a normal pet in a world full of giant bugs, devil-like creatures, and a bunch of hoax with their own kind of dog that imitate the sound of a horn. Yes, that shit is a dog. So since this pet is so special, I thought why not let us take a look at him throughout the entire franchise. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel to help me out. Alright, so it started by the first title of the franchise. On the southern part of California, you're gonna come across with a small town named Dunktown. And there you see a man called Phil, struggling to get in his house because of a strange dog that refused to leave the house front door and threaten anyone who gets closer. And as you talk to Phil, he will describe Dogmeat's previous owner as a man with a funny accent, wearing a leather jacket, who came from the east accompanied by the dog. Now, just to summarize some things so that you can understand properly, Dunktown is a town led by a man called Killian Darkwater. He has some problems with a fat man called Gizmo, who owns a casino that brings a lot of incomes to the town, but also some problems which makes Killian hate him so much. Now, as much as Killian hates Gizmo, he could not just start an attack against him since he has no proof on Gizmo's dark business and may end up being judged by his own town and may be kicked. So when the Vault Dweller, aka you, the protagonist, comes to the town, he stops a man that was supposedly sent by Gizmo from killing Killian, and right after, Killian sees an opportunity to trust the Vault Dweller on a task to get Gizmo confession on the attempt of assassination. Now let's go back to Dogmeat. When we ask Phil about the previous owners of Dogmeat, he tells the Vault Dweller that the previous owner of the dog somehow interfered with Gizmo's business, making Gizmo command his thugs to throw the man from the casino's roof, which ended up with the man breaking his neck and dying afterwards. Then the dog, probably feeling the loss of the owner, stayed in front of Phil's house for some reason. Now, I have a theory that the owner, just like the Vault Dweller, also tried to help Killian but was caught by Gizmo and unfortunately killed, leaving Dogmeat alone. Or maybe he was just an asshole trying to rob Gizmo, I don't know, these are just my theories. Now here, you're gonna have two ways of gaining Dogmeat as a companion. First is by mimicking the dog's previous owner by wearing a leather jacket, and by doing so, Dogmeat will follow you naturally, thinking that you are his previous owner. And if you wanna know where to find a leather jacket, when I actually played, I found one at Vault 15 on the second floor. And the second way is to give the dog an iguana beats or a iguana sticks. The fastest way for me to find was killing Gizmo and taking from his inventory. But that really depends on how you want to deal with the city. Now, Dogmeat in combat is fucking amazing. He can attack 1 to 4 times depending on how much he had to walk during his turn and deal some pretty good damage to the enemy. I mean, he saved me most part of the fights, but that doesn't exactly count for death claws since they are pretty tank, and most of Dogmeat's attack on a death claw when I fought them was around 0 damage. Also be careful with super mutants, they are brutal, okay? So after all, getting Dogmeat as a companion in Fallout 1, in my opinion, is very worth it. Now going to Fallout 2, Dogmeat can be found in a special encounter with a place named Cafe of Broken Dreams. Special encounters in Fallout 2 are random encounters that you can come across with depending on your luck and level. In this case, only on your luck, since you can get there by level 1. So once you get into Cafe of Broken Dreams, there you can see Dogmeat, who apparently is the same dog from the previous title, which is kinda odd for a dog to survive 80 years, make me think that maybe Dogmeat is an experimental dog who has a prolonged lifespan, or maybe he was affected by the radiation in a way that it only changed his lifespan but not the appearance, or maybe it's just an Easter egg added by the developers, which is my final guess, since if you attack the Dogmeat here, a man named Mel will spawn and initiate a battle against you, and judged by the funny accent and the leather jacket, is definitely the previous owner of the dog, who was supposedly killed by Gizmo. Also, there's the fact that the Cafe of Broken Dreams is a place that will obtain a lot of the Easter egg from the developers itself. Now, to get Dogmeat's company here, you just need to wear Vault's 13 jumpsuit, which will remind Dogmeat of the Vault Dweller he followed on the first title, and will make him follow you again. And about the combat, it's pretty much the same from the previous title, so it's still good, you know. Now we're gonna jump 36 years on the future and get to the capital wasteland in a small scrapyard where you, the lone wanderer who was looking for your damn Miss Daddy finds a cute puppy fighting against some raiders. And if you decide to help the dog, he's gonna follow you to the end of your adventure. Or, to God forgives me, he dies somehow. And if you still have any doubts for some reason, yes, that's Dogmeat, but now as a 3D Australian cattle dog. Now, unfortunately in Fallout 3, we don't have that much access to Dogmeat's previous owner, except the fact that he was an scavenger who was completely destroyed by the raiders you found Dogmeat fighting against. But his body got nothing for us to know exactly who he was or where he came from, and also there is no way of saving him since he is kinda programmed to die anyway. Now jumping straight to gameplay, Dogmeat here is still an amazing addition for the journey, since he's pretty much tanky, as you can see him getting completely cooked by these damn fire ants and still keep fighting until he kills us. And also he can be used to fight items like ammunitions, chems, food, or even weapons. And if you're afraid of losing Dogmeat by some atrocious ignorant super mutants, you can guarantee yourself the Puppies perk at level 22, which will always respawn another Dogmeat every time he dies. And actually it doesn't spawn another Dogmeat, just another dog, but just pretend it is Dogmeat again. And as a last curiosity, since Dogmeat is counted as an animal companion, you can have him alongside another human companion, so that'll be two companions helping you out on your adventure, which is awesome. Well, now we're gonna get to the most complex air quote Dogmeat of the entire franchise in Fallout New Vegas. And their air quotes are for the fact that Dogmeat doesn't exactly exist as a companion in New Vegas, only as a food. Instead, we have Rex, the cybernetic dog. Now to start talking about Rex lore, I think it's best we go back in time to before the Great War. It is told that the police department of Denver used to train cyber dogs for combat. Dogs which lifespan was greatly prolonged due to its cybernetic changed body, and also the brains being conserved into a tank coupled in the dog's head, making them survive the Great War and live among the wild dogs that would appear in Denver, turning Denver into the city of dogs. Now some years after the war, a faction known as the Legion, which is one of the main faction of Fallout New Vegas, take control upon the town of Denver, and there the leader Kaiser meets one of the survived cybernetic dogs and claims the dog as his official pet. But after some conflicts happening to the Legion, the dog was injured, eventually survived the injuries, but leave in Denver and start wandering around the wasteland until he come across with a man named King, who claimed the cyber dog as his official pet, named the dog as Rex, the Latin for king. And from that day on, Rex became loyal to King, but as time passed by, he was suffering from the fact that his brain was getting to an end and needed a replacement. Alright, so now when you, the Sixth Courier, meet with King in the School of Impersonation located inside of the Freeside, the mayor town of New Vegas, first he will ask you to complete some duties so that you can claim his loyalty. And after completing all the missions for the king, you'll be able to ask him about Rex. And doing so, he will tell you everything about the dog's situation, giving you the permission to get Rex as a companion, as long as you find a way to fix his brain. So with that quest, Rex becomes your companion, and you start a mission to save his life. The mission is based on you finding a doctor named Henry that is located in the mutants town Jacobstown, and there the doctor is gonna tell you that he will need a new brain to replace Rex's old one, with the game offering you 3 options, with each one giving a specific trait to Rex. And this quest line is so complex that it has its own endings based on the choice of the brains you put on Rex. To start, we have in Gibson Scrapyard an old lady called Gibson who takes care of a lot of dogs, like a lot of dogs, and she will offer you the brain of her elder dog Ray for 700 caps. Now you can buy it or bargain if you got 70 points on bartering, and replacing Rex's brain with Ray's gives Rex attack power. For the second brain, you can go to a fiend camp near Poseidon gas station where you have to deal with a fiend called Violet and her army of dogs. Now killing all the dogs, you can loot the brain of a dog named Violetta, which when put in Rex will give him movement speed. And for the last brain, in a place called the Fort, a place only accessible after reaching the tops on Freeside, the player will meet a guy named Anthony next to Lupa, named by Anthony as the mother of the dogs. And Lupa's brain can be acquired by choosing to fight her at at the arena, killing the dog and taking the brain. Once acquired, the brain will give Rex damage threshold, making Rex more resistant. And just like I said, Rex has his own endings. 3 of them depend on the brain choice.
Revitalized by Violetta's brain, Rex eventually learned to balance the memories of his old life with Violetta's experiences among the brutal fiends. His mind had difficulty adjusting, but Rex eventually found peace with his new, more vicious self. With the transplant of Lupa's brain, Rex gained all of the donor's experiences traveling with the Legion. These melded well with his own memories of the Legion, and his new mind quickly adjusted to the myriad memories. After Ray's brain was transplanted into Rex's cybernetic body, it took Rex some time to adjust to the old scrapyard dog's memories. Eventually, Rex's mind settled peacefully, melding his own memories with that of long travels with old Lady Gibson.
2 depends on the player's choice of not accepting as a companion or killing him for some reason.
He had survived police service in Colorado, the Great War, combat duty with the Legion, and being the companion of the king. But in the end, Rex finally succumbed to the horrors of the wasteland. Having never received a replacement brain, Rex finally succumbed to old age, abruptly shutting down forever one quiet morning. After 2 centuries of life and decades of service to humanity, Rex collapses and dies.
Now when it comes to combat, Rex is damn useful, just like every other Dogmeat. He deals a great amount of damage, he also resists a great amount of damage, with the fact that he's not affected by pulse weapons, and Rex also has the ability to tackle enemies to the ground. Also we have the fact that he never dies, only gets unconscious. He also provides the perk Search and Mark to the player, where lootable items are highlighted when zoomed in, and when you talk to King, he says that Rex hates any type of rats and also hats. So that was all the lore with Rex. I tried summarizing as much as possible, but if you feel like knowing more, watch this video from Oxhorn. I really like this video and it's great, it's more detailed. Now we head to the Commonwealth in Massachusetts, where the sole survivor, after getting out of his vault, started the mission of finding his kidnapped son. He comes across with the Red Rocket station, and there a pleasant company awaits for him. The German Shepherd Dogmeat, who just comes out of nowhere, instantly becoming your companion. Now just like Fallout 3, Fallout 4 Dogmeat does not have a vast story behind, and the things that we know about him are told by Mama Murphy, who tells us that Dogmeat is a free spirit with no owners, stating him as his own man. And also as you proceed to the game, you're gonna meet with the detective Nick Valentine, which by curiosity, if you for some reason do not meet with Dogmeat at Red Rocket Station, Valentine will basically force you to meet with him. And Valentine actually tells about Dogmeat helping him in some of the cases before, in a time where he was even able to train Dogmeat to respond a specific signal reproduced by Nick himself, and the signal is unnoticeable by humans. Also he tells that Dogmeat only helps those he feels like helping, like he's really his own man. Now by the dialogues or the logs you find throughout the game, it is kinda easy to believe that the sole survivor was the actual first owner of Dogmeat, which helps him even find clues for his son's whereabouts, since Dogmeat has a special ability of tracking scent for miles. Now when it comes to gameplay, unlikely the previous titles, here Dogmeat is counted as a general companion, making it impossible to have Dogmeat plus another companion at the same time, just like you could in the other titles, unless you download some good mods, obviously, and I do really recommend that because it's fucking awesome, dude. And Dogmeat in Fallout 4 can be very helpful sometimes, and it could be most part of the time for the fact that this game is broke. And the companion's AI is kinda shitty, making Dogmeat glitch most part of the times, not being able to attack the enemies, which is frustrating. Now, by far Fallout 4 Dogmeat is the most complex in terms of gameplay. Like, he can perform different types of attacks, and I mean brutal attacks, and since he doesn't have a companion affinity, like every other companion in the game, he has his own perk at the perk chart, which can be acquired by having 4 points in charisma. And although Dogmeat is a companion, the Lone Wanderer perk, which greatly increases your stats when traveling alone, is not affected by Dogmeat's company, making him in my opinion, the best companion of the entire game. Like, it's like they always say, Dogmeat don't judge, he just love. And I cannot forget the fact that Dogmeat can wear some actual dog armors in the game, making him fucking unstoppable. And he is also unkillable, only getting knocked down during combat. And you can also interact with Dogmeat and choosing the fetch option, which can be used to find items in your surroundings. But even if you don't use the fetch option, he still will find it naturally without you having to trigger the option. And that is basically Fallout 4 Dogmeat. Now jumping to the future, we have the recent released Fallout show CX404. And I'm already gonna warn you that if you haven't watched the show and don't wanna be spoiled out, you can just skip this part to the timestamp that you can see in the video. Although I'll try not to spoil that much, but just be warned. Or better known by the nickname given from his owner Wilzig, 4. 4 was born in an enclave laboratory, and apparently she was supposed to be incinerated due to its lack of weight when born. But Dr. Wilzig could not stand such an atrocity act, keeping her alive and taking her as a pet. And as it shows us her growing up through the years, we can notice that the enclave was training a lot of dogs to probably become a useful weapon to them. Now at some point, Wilzig has to flee the enclave by secret reasons. He kept himself, and 4 just follow him to the wasteland. There, unfortunately, Wilzig dies, leaving 4 behind with the ghoul who almost kills the dog, but thanks God he treated her after seeing a potential of using her to track Wilzig, and after completing the ghoul's wish, he abandoned 4, who later found Thaddeus, who also abandoned the dog. But later in the show, the ghoul re-meets 4, finally claiming the dog as his pet, naming her Dogmeat.
I'm sorry, Dogmeat, but you ain't him.
Now, I just like to include a theory of mine that maybe since the show is canon, all the Dogmeats are those trained dogs by the Enclave. Now, we don't actually know if they have their lifespans prolonged or something, but like, I mean, in a world full of radioactive dogs and creatures, that's the only way that I see a normal dog existing. But we can also include the fact that the developers on Fallout 1 just wanted to make a reference to Mad Max and add a normal dog to the world to accompany you, the survivor. Alright, so now let's head to some curiosities about Dogmeat. To start, originally the dog name was supposed to be Dog Shit. We changed it for Dogmeat, and the name is a reference for the movie A Boy and His Dog from '75.
Fine, Dogmeat.
Just like I mentioned back then, the idea of having a dog as a companion in Fallout is purely based on the movie Mad Max 2, where Max had his companion Australian cattle dog. Fallout 4 was supposed to be able to support Dogmeat and another companion together, just like the previous titles, but since the game is broken as hell, the developers decided not to risk it. Although it's incredible to know that some modders were way more competent than Bethesda developers itself. I mean, I'm just saying, you know. And no, it's not the same dog in every game. Dogmeat is just a normal title for dogs found in the wasteland. And I think that was it. Once again, please like and subscribe to the video because it gave me some kind of work. And feel free to comment whatever you feel like, or if I forget to say anything. Thank you for watching, and until Sunday.